Hello whisky fans, it's that time. Christmas is mere hours away, 24th of December, and it's time for our final dram from the Whisky Advent Calendar. Butchered that slightly, but it doesn't really matter anymore. What have we got? Something special for our final dram? It's a Balvenie. We've already had a Balvenie. I'm sure we have. Where's the Balvenie? Yeah, Balvenie 14yo Caribbean cask. I knew we'd had something from them before. So the Balvenie 14yo Caribbean cask, that one was bottled at 43% ABV, I believe. This one is also 14 years old from Balvenie, but it is the week of peat. I'm sure they used to call it Peat Week. Might be confused there, but this one's bottled at 48.3, so significantly higher on the ABV. And personally, I thought that the Caribbean cask, rum cask Balvenie, was really good. I wouldn't say that it was better or worse than the standard 12-year-old Balvenie, which I also think is really good. It was different and welcome. So I have had the peated Balvenie before, and from what I remember, that was pretty good as well. But that was quite a few years ago. Let's see if it's as good as I remember. Ooh. Oh, that's lovely. I don't think it's a coincidence at all that I've chosen this one for the last dram in the Advent calendar, because this is the perfect winter Christmas time dram. It's just nosing that out of the sample here, you're getting a big waft of really nice medicinal dirty peat. That's really nice. That's the perfect thing that you want when you're relaxing by the side of the fire, wrapped up in the warm indoors when it's cold outside. So I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty certain that the previous peated Balvenie that I had was peated to 30 ppm. So in theory, it's not quite as peated as a lot of your Islay whiskies, definitely not in the realms of Lefroy and Ardbeg. I believe they also used to say that this peated Balvenie was matured in American oak casks, which it definitely seems like it probably is, and that it's non-chill filtered as well. As for the colouring, that looks like it's probably natural if it's matured in American oak bourbon casks, but can't be sure. So the nose on this one is actually really quite medicinal. Balvenie is a mainland distillery. It's one of the 3 Speyside distilleries which are owned by William Grant & Sons. So we've got Balvenie and Glenfiddich and Kinninvie, and it always used to be said that those were the 3 single malts that went into Monkey Shoulder blended Scotch. But this is really something quite different to the standard Balvenie, apart from the fact that there's, I believe, no sherry or very, very little sherry. It's really much closer to an Islay single malt than you might expect. So on the nose of this one, it's definitely still sweet. You've got that lovely sweetness that you always get in the Balvenie, but obviously coming through from the distillate rather than a sherry cask. And it's a wonderful sweet and peaty nose. And the peatiness in this one is actually really quite medicinal. There's definitely something of a floor cleaner, antiseptic, iodine, hospital sort of antiseptic bandages note on the nose of this one. So we really are firmly in the realms of Islay when we nose this one. But it has still got that trademark fruitiness that you always get in a Balvenie. I'm getting something like smoked plums, and there's a appleiness and some notes of cherries in there too. But it has to be said that that peat, that really wonderful medicinal antiseptic, that just raw peatiness really is taking centre stage in this one. It's a really lovely, warming, slightly burnt peatiness. There's a little bit of a hint of farmy cowsheds in there, but lots of disinfectant, coal tar soap, and lots of dry, smoky, peaty notes in there as well. Dry, earthy smoke, some leafy vegetal peat, and quite an ashiness as well. If I was going to name one Islay distillery that this is closest to, I'd probably say Lagavulin. Let's see how it tastes. It really is exactly as you would expect from the nose. Immediately on the palate you've got this big burst of sweet, woody ashiness, some really dry, ashy smoke, but also the same as what I was finding on the nose. You've got some lovely notes of sweet, smoked fruit, smoked plums, something like that, if that's a thing that exists. And also some really nice medicinal, but also quite Christmassy notes, things like smoked cloves, some pine, and a little hint of wool on the palate as well. As for the finish on this one, it's a long finish. It's a long and medicinal, smoky, warming, really lovely finish, and I think that's helped by the high ABV on this one. Hats off to Balvenie for bottling this at a proper strength of 48.3%. It's a lovely, long and drying and mineral finish. I'm getting strong notes of darkly roasted coffee, some more of that lovely ashy smoke. It's really quite dry, which seems a little bit at odds to the general style of Balvenie, but it works really well. We see it all the time that a distillery has a go at making a peated spirit when they're really not set up to do that and they're not used to it. I think that Bunnahabhain peated whisky sometimes is wonderful, but sometimes it's a bit hit and miss, and the peated whisky from Glendronach, in my opinion, really didn't work. But Balvenie, I don't know who they've consulted on this or if they've just been lucky, but they're really good at making peated whisky. It'd also be interesting to know how much of the peated malt that goes into this is actually malted at Balvenie, because a lot of people might not realise that the actual malting of the barley, the process where it starts to germinate and then it's kiln dried to stop the process before all those fermentable sugars are consumed by the grain, is generally done on an industrial scale. It's very rare that it's actually done at a distillery anymore. Years ago it would have been done on site by all of the distilleries, but now I think there's only, I want to say, 6 distilleries that still floor malt in-house, and Balvenie is one of them. And it'd be lovely to hear that 100% of this is floor malted. I'm not sure if it is, but from the quality level of the peated malt that goes into this, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. It is a little bit strange to see Balvenie without the sherry influence, but I think they did the right thing by leaving it out on this one, because it doesn't need it at all. It's wonderful stuff, just as it is. So, our final dram, and it's a very good one. Is this going to be a new number 1? It's not. I'm just trying to build things up unnecessarily there. But lovely, really, really nice, heavily peated whisky, 48%. There's another really nice, heavily peated 48% whisky up there, and that's the Laphroaig Triplewood. I'm definitely going to say that the Balvenie peated is better than the Aerolite Lindsay mystery malt from Islay. Is it better than the Triplewood? That's really difficult. As it is Christmas tomorrow, I'm going to be generous. I'm going to say that we are tied for 5th place. Laphroaig Triplewood and Balvenie peated. It's really an honour for Balvenie that it's ranked so highly, because it's not something that they normally do. If you believe the marketing blurb, it's something that they only do for 1 week a year, and they're doing it so well that I'm rating this as highly as the Laphroaig Triplewood, which is actually one of my favourite expressions from Laphroaig. So well done, Balvenie. So that is a conclusion to our journey. A little bit left there. Job done. I hope you've enjoyed this series of videos. I hope that some of you have been able to join in at home and let me know in the comments what you think. If you've followed all the way through, then congratulations, you made it, and I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. Cheers.